Sir, I came for my knife.
Where did you leave it?
In some sailor.
What kind of knife was it?
Steel. Narrow blade, slightly curved. Have you seen it?
Hang on, let's take it slow. What kind of handle?
Mother of pearl.
One piece or assembled?
Single piece.
Then you're in luck. I've got your knife.
Where?
In my back.
Thank you.
My pleasure. The bartender said I've got quite the knife in me. A rare 20-centimeter beauty.
Turn around, I'll take it out.
Hold on. The bartender said not to pull it out until the doctor gets here, or I might bleed to death. He knows what he's talking about. Someone even killed a doctor here once. Old place.
But I'm in a rush. Who knows when the doctor's coming? I can't go home at night without my knife.
The doc lives nearby. The bartender went to get him on a tricycle. You did the stabbing, sir. Now I'm afraid you must face the consequences.
Whoa. Just because my knife is in your back doesn't mean you get to keep it. That's theft. Thank God the world still has laws.
I'm not citing the law. I'm citing medical science. According to the bartender, that knife stays put. Doctor's orders.
The doctor can stick things in himself. That knife is my gear.
Tricky business.
Tell you what, I'm not heartless. I'll take my knife out of you and stick another one in its place. That should hold until the doctor shows up.
Fine. Just make sure it's not smaller. Has to seal the wound properly. Health is everything. And a prescription's a prescription.
Don't worry, I'll shove in a big kitchen knife.
All right then.
Turn around. There.
Now push the other one in, quick.
This one on the shelf will do. Though it's just got a plain wooden handle. Shame, really.
Is it in yet?
Not a chance. It's barely bleeding. The blade must have stopped at the bone, slipped between the cartilage. Damn, the tip's chipped.
Should have aimed for the flesh, you amateur.
Wait, I'll slap a wet rag on it. The sweater actually keeps it in place nicely.
I'm telling you, there needs to be a knife. The bartender knows. People get stabbed here daily. Just stick something in there.
Look, I'm no surgeon. I'll own up to a stabbing, sure, but I don't do operations. Ask a sailor. They'll wake up eventually.
Speaking of which, you knocked out 12 of my crew.
One of them got hit by the liquor shelf. Not my fault.
That was the chief engineer.
Well, the shelf didn't know that.
And there's the ship's waiter. Where do I find a new one now? The Honolulu-Star sails in the morning, and now I've got no stoker, no waiter. All because of you.
I had a right. Someone threw a mug at me. That kind of behavior offends a man.
None of them threw anything. They're innocent.
Then who did?
I did.
You're lucky you're dying. Otherwise, I'd club you. Good day.
Wait!
No time. I'm in a hurry.
Just check whether the wound needs a knife. Can't be too careful with stabs. Could be internal bleeding.
Not from that angle? Just wait for the doctor. If he can help you, great. If not, rest in peace.
Farewell.
Sorry you hired such a weak crew.
Hey, young man, I'll walk with you. I've got a money-making idea.
Sounds interesting.
Bartender, if the doc shows up, tell him I went for a little walk nearby.
Don't worry. If anything happens, I'll put a knife back in the wound. I'll keep watch. All right, let's go.
I've got to move carefully with this injury. Where are we headed?
No clue. I've got no money and nothing to do.
We should stay nearby in case the doctor comes. By the way, I forgot to ask the bartender if I can smoke in this condition. Should I risk it?
Sure. What's the worst that could happen?
Nothing?
Oh, nothing serious. Worst thing, death. And that's always a possibility, isn't it?
Fair point. Listen, I'm the chief steward of the Honolulu-Star. What's your name?
Foolig Jimmy.
What kind of dumb name is that?
I like to laugh. Someone once said my grin goes from ear to ear. This is what foolig means.
You've got the face of a milkmaid. Rare thing in a big bony man like you. How old are you?
24.
Kid.
Your folks.
Got any experience on ships?
Come on. I sailed with Captain Bird on 2 expeditions when I was still a kid.
How's your handwriting?
I just don't know all the capital letters. Learned from a steward.
Idiot.
True, but smart chief stewards are rare.
Got any papers?
Now that's just insulting.
So you've got no documents at all?
I've got a police paper.
Now that's useful.
See? No problem. In Valparaiso, the captain gave me a note saying I had to report daily to the inspector and not go out after 2 p.m.
That's not good.
Don't I know it? That's why I left Valparaiso.
Is that in your seaman's log?
I refuse to answer that.
Were you struck off?
And if I was, who cares? Every sailor in the world knows me. No papers needed.
That's what I'm afraid of. Want to work?
Nope.
Why not?
I've lost my motivation.
From what?
Last year in Naples, I stole a plaid coat, and ever since then, I've felt like I was born to be a gentleman. I've decided never to work again.
And before that, did you work?
Nope. I lacked the proper determination.
Look, I need a waiter and a stoker or I'm out of a job too.
No problem. We'll do it together. You and I. I'll do it, but I know the ropes.
Zip it. In Port Suez, I won't find a new waiter or stoker before dawn. That's when the Honolulu-Star sails. It's peak season. Here's the deal. I've got both their papers. Take their place. You do the work of two. Never seen a bull like you.
Sweet talk won't help you.
But maybe this will. 2 full wages from here to Tahiti. That's real money. You do both jobs. Half a day in the engine room, half in the dining hall. No one would suspect the stoker and the waiter are the same guy.
And when would I sleep?
When we reach Tahiti. 5 weeks tops, and you'd earn for 2 the whole time. So, look, they're already preparing.
All right, I'm in.
At night, you're Wilson Hutchins, American stoker. By day, Jose Pombio, Spanish waiter. Remember that. You speak Spanish?
A few appetizer names, but it gets me by.
Where'd you learn appetizer speak?
In Barcelona. I worked in a restaurant window as a display model.
A what?
Sat in the shop window among sausages and pies. Occasionally nodded, pointed to my belly, and flashed a grin that lit up a few bulbs on my stomach.
Nice job.
Takes brains and a touch of class. Plus, I've got a killer smile. That's why they call me Fulig Jimmy.
So?
Let's go. Jose Pombio, Wilson Hutchins, and Fulig Jimmy reporting for duty.
And off he went, following his new companion with a speed that was, frankly, remarkable for a man supposedly on the brink of death. Fulig Jimmy was a true gentleman of the world. He took great pride in his appearance and manners. He loved music, regularly attended the cinema, and always carried sour candies, just like members of respectable society. One of his most curious traits was his passion for washing. No one understood it. With his lanky, broad-shouldered build, the boyishly smooth face didn't seem to fit, though it was wide and bony, centered by a generous mouth and massive teeth. These individuals, once discharged from the hospital, would ponder deeply on the dangers of judging by looks, and vow never again to make assumptions without proper research. Jimmy's peculiar friendship with the chief steward began at a restaurant in Port Said called the Bureaucrat. He was eating dinner and reading a small booklet. As usual, he did so with a relatively refined demeanor, though this didn't extend to his yellow coat missing several buttons, his shredded wool shirt, or his socks. Especially not the socks, since he had left one in Brussels 4 years ago. Still, a silk handkerchief peeked from his breast pocket, and hanging from his neck was a lorgnette, delicately crafted, mounted on a bicycle gear mechanism, the kind typically reserved for elderly aristocratic ladies. One hand fed him, the other held the lorgnette, while his book rested against a mug. It was quite the feat, considering Jimmy had perfect eyesight. Yet the lorgnette magnified everything tremendously. But sometimes a man must make sacrifices for the sake of upper-class appearances. Meanwhile, the 20-something sailors in the Bureaucrat had been brawling for a solid 10 minutes. Jimmy only took notice when a mug shattered against the wall next to his head. He stood up, peered around through the oversized glass, and gave the room a chilly once-over.
Gentlemen, I'm rather sensitive about my head, so I'd appreciate it if such teasing could be avoided.
He had barely finished his reprimand when a second mug flew at him, grazing his shoulder.
This brawl is now over.
The rest is history. Fulig Jimmy began ejecting the fighters one by one. By the time his grand cleanup was finished, around 20 men lay unconscious across the room. Only the crew of the Honolulu-Star, on its way to Tahiti, had a presence at the Port Suez Public Hospital that night, 12 of them to be exact. Among them, Spanish waiter Jose Pombio and American stoker Wilson Hutchins. After the scuffle, Jimmy calmly paid for his meal, lifted the unconscious helmsman off his book, and left. He only returned to retrieve his knife. That's when he met the chief steward.